I guess I will be talking from a little bit of a different perspective in that I have been on the receiving end of a project delivered by the IT guys here, whereas most people here today, I guess, have been speaking about IT. So I work in a little bit about myself. I work in the environmental department in Tara Mines, and this presentation will be about the digital evolution of environmental monitoring. So just a little bit of background about the environmental department. So for those of you, most of you probably already know, but we are responsible for a lot of the planning permissions, the regulatory compliance, the license to operate, that sort of stuff in Tara Mines. But a big part of our job is the monitoring aspect and ensuring we're within compliance limits, thresholds, all that sort of stuff. So in 2023, we kind of looked about the way we were working, and we had a lot of manual data flows in there, a lot of manual methods, and we kind of compiled this here together, and we realized that we really didn't have a data infrastructure in place. I know on the slide here it says less than 5 connected instruments. I think we actually had 2, and one of them didn't work. We've done extensive work with data in spreadsheets, Excel sheets, moving data from one Excel to another, to do calculations. I think a lot of different departments will kind of empathize with that. Our manual field process we'll get into in a minute, but extremely labor heavy. A lot of time spent in the field and probably inefficient in some ways. All our data quality insurance then was manual. So it was, for instance, and the focus of this talk really will be on a set of boreholes, 30 boreholes around the tailings dam. We would graph each of them individually every month, manually, and then we would combine all of that onto charts to see where we were, see if there were any trends, anything like that. So there's quite a lot of data handling, a lot of moving of stuff. And we found that our process was extremely people-centric rather than process-led. So at the end of this process, we ended up getting a digitalization maturity of 2.5 out of 10, which didn't look very good. So just to give you a bit of background on the manual sampling, as I said, it's extremely time-intensive. Each borehole you go out there, you get 2 big car batteries, you carry them 400 or 500 meters across the field, and then you go back to your car, you get the pumps, you bring them out, you go back to your car, you get all your pipes, you get all your chemistry meters, you get all that stuff, you bring it all out. And in the middle of all that, then you meet a guy like this. And sometimes they're friendly, sometimes they're not. So sometimes you're carrying a pump and you got to decide, it's me or the pump. So a lot of the time when we'd be out there then, we would be writing on paper. So all our notes are taken on paper. And as you all know, it rains a lot in Ireland. So you end up with pen or ink running, paper ripping, paper tearing, and you get back to the office after a hard day's work, soaked wet, and you look at your paper and you can't read it. So it's not very good. And it happens, but sometimes you end up having to go back out and resample. Again, as I said, because of the type of work it is, you had a high dependency on certain individuals within the department, put a lot of pressure on them. And due to the nature of Ireland having a very big agricultural sector, you're meeting horses, cattle, bulls, sheep, doesn't matter, you meet it all. And there's a high risk factor involved there if you're working alone. When we got back to the office then, we ended up with systems whereby, and I suppose it was something that had happened over years, we had data all over the place in silos. So our groundwater was in one place, our surface water in another, our noise, vibration, air quality, everything was kind of structured differently. And within our Excel sheets, each Excel was structured differently. So it was very hard to bring things across into one place and try and bring it together. We were only seeing snapshots in time then, so our compliance monitoring would be roughly around 1 sampling point per month. But it's very hard with that then to see trends and to actually understand what's going on in the groundwater, for instance. And for that reason, then, we ended up with reactive decisions all of the time. We had every single type of file you could ever imagine. And some of them we didn't know how to use ourselves. So we had Excel files, we had PDFs, we were pulling information off online sources for hydrological and meteorological data. And we were storing it on local drives, servers, external platforms, iPac, LIMS. It was all over the place, situated as well. And so one of the big problems we had then was when we had a turnover of staff, a lot of data went missing. And the reason it went missing, it's not that it's lost, it's somewhere in the system. But we've been operating for 50 years. I think the environmental drive has been there for maybe 30 of those. And there's so many folders in there, everyone was saving everything in a different place. So, what did IT do for us? IT came in and they provided us with a proper, structured system. We set up remote telemetry systems all around the tailings dam, a network of gateways out there that would provide us with a system whereby we could put out our instruments, it would feed back to the gateways, and we would get the data back onto our computers. From there then, they built a database in Pi for us, and then from there we went on to Pi Vision, where we were able to get our dashboard visualization system. We have automated data ingestion then, coming from our sensors now, that we have placed in the boreholes. And we have controlled user access, which is key as well. Up till now, we had several, over the years, I guess, several different people were given access to certain aspects that no longer needed it. Now we can tailor that to who needs what. And overall, we have a one-stop data shop, which has been a fantastic addition. For the environmental team itself, we've seen immediate effects of this. Immediate visibility of groundwater trends, which we hadn't had before. We were always a little bit behind putting data together. Now we have it in live form. It allows us to make changes a lot quicker, responses, and a lot less manual data handling, as I said. It's given us a much clearer understanding of the groundwater in the area, and it's allowing us, instead of spending inefficiently going out and spending time in the field collecting data, now we're able to actually sit down and analyze it. And with the regulators, we've built a lot of trust and confidence with the regulators moving forward with systems like this, because they can see we're moving in the right way. Also for transparent reporting. So I can go into Pi, I can download 6 months of data, and I can deliver that to whoever needs it. In 3 months' time, if somebody else has asked for that same 6-month window of data, there's no issue. It's click a button, download, and away. Prior to this, we'd be taking Excel files from here, compiling it all together, seeing if the structure's aligned, and trying to fit it together. LIMS has been a huge change for us, and we underwent the first upgrade in 9 years back in August of last year. We have a new governance structure in place for that, which is fantastic. And up until that, we had quite a clunky platform, but thanks to Anna here today and Ludwig, we now have a much better platform, and it leaves it a lot less room for error. Our schedulers have been re-optimized, and we've had new reporting structures built to align with all our reporting, which is fantastic. In terms of the external labs then, there's work ongoing there at the moment to get all that data directly ingested into LIMS, and hopefully in the coming months we'll have that done. And the same then with the transfer of all that data into OCPI. So we're looking forward to that as well. Just to give you a kind of a visual here of what they have done for us. So we have our sensors in the ground. We also have a new app here, Metrics Web now, built for all our manual data. And that goes directly to our network of gateways. That goes into LIMS and Sensor Online then, and directly into OCPI, and we can push that whatever way we want then out into PiVision and Power BI. I think this was one of the key things in our department. We had really, really smart people in our department for many, many years. And because our department is so small, there's only 3 people in it. Some of the guys, and this is going back years, they had everything up here, and maybe not everything on paper or in a database. And it left it when you come into the department that it was kind of hard to get a grip on everything and to catch up on things. But I think going forward, this will be a lot easier. And we now move from person to person to instrument to database. Just to give you a little bit of a look here at the platform that has been built for us. So we have groundwater level sensors, that I said, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we have almost continuous water quality monitoring live into the database. The data is transmitted automatically, goes in, we get our dashboards, but we also have a QA/QC built into this now as well. Whereas prior to this, we were graphing everything, we were looking at our thresholds, all that sort of stuff. Now we have alarm limits in there, so if it gets to a certain threshold, we get an email or a text to let us know something's happening in this well, and you can go take a look. But it has allowed us now to make proactive decisions rather than reactive. This here is just an example. On the white graph here, we can see the monthly manual data we would have collected. 12 points a year, as I said. Took a lot of time, quite inefficient graphing all this every month, but this is what we've done. On the right-hand side here, we can see the difference here in the amount of data we collect. And we're capable of running this thousands of times a day if we need. The good thing about this is as well that with the click of a button now, you can pull 20 wells onto the same graph, and you can start to see if there's correlations between different things happening at different periods or small periods within the window. This has just gone a step further here to look at exactly what I had on the last graph. And the red dashed line here is indicating the line we would have drawn when we were collecting data on a monthly basis. And what you can see here is that there's an awful lot happening within that time frame that we weren't accounting for. And I've just highlighted here on the right-hand side, we have the wonderful rainfall data for Ireland for the last 3 months. And you can see here, there was one instance where we had 22 mils on a certain date. And you can start to see now that the peaks and troughs on the graph we can start to see how rainfall is affecting conductivity. And from conductivity, we can build on to something else and look at maybe how sulfate levels are in the groundwater. And from there, we can make assumptions then based on that and based on chemistry and geochemical reactions, what's actually happening. This wouldn't be possible without the IT guys in both Ireland and Sweden. And as I said, like, we are not IT people, we are scientists, we're not good with IT. But we've had fantastic support both locally and here in Sweden. Gary at home with Thorn, who's here today, Pierce, Matthew, Jessica have been fantastic and are always sitting at the end of the phone whatever type of stupid question we have. Equally here, Frederick's team with Martin, Jasper, Ludwig, Anna, they're always here to help. There's never a problem that they can't solve. So in 2026, in January here, 2 months ago, we looked at this digital maturity evaluation again. And we went through exactly where we had improved and what we have done. And we now have our robust secure data infrastructure in place. We have expanded our network of connected instruments. We now have about 50 instruments connected, with a plan to roll out a lot more this year. We have all our integrated data platforms and dashboards working flawlessly. And we've standardized and automated a lot of the heavy manual field process. We have high quality data sitting in our database now with a built-in QA QC. And instead of it being people dependent, we're now process led, which is a big change. Our data reports then have been all restructured, and they're all aligned now with our reporting requirements as well, which means it's a click of a button rather than 2 hours of trying to align it ourselves. So in terms of where are we going with this, we're not going to stop. We will continue now. And I've worked a little bit with Joachim in the last couple of weeks. And what you can see here is conductivity that we've been forecasting. He has built this model using the XG Boost. And this is 24 hours in advance. What you can see here is pretty accurate. The scale on the right-hand side there, the actual difference between them two lines is minuscule in terms of millisiemens per centimeter cubed. So it's really, really tiny. But the trends are all good, and it's pretty tight. So I pushed them a little bit further and asked them to move out to 3 days. And you can see again here that the trend is still pretty good. There's a little bit of a gap over on the right-hand side, but this is only a first pass. There's a lot more data that can be pushed into this to tighten them lines and bring it together. And thanks to the sensors and thanks to the IT guys who have given us the platform we have, we can now actually pull this together and we can start to make assumptions on this. So I guess in the overall message, I was reading something recently, actually, an article, and it kind of stuck with me when I was making this presentation. And it said that you should always leave your workplace in a better place than when you found it, if you ever decide to move on. I think that is something that has come out of this and has been key to this, but maybe hasn't been appreciated. What you've actually provided to us is something that someone new can come into our department tomorrow morning if I decided to leave. They don't need any instructions, they don't need anything. Everything is in place, everything is there, and the department keeps moving. It's business as usual. And I think that's one fantastic thing that has come out of the project. I think that's it for me. Thank you very much for listening.